Let's take a look at the global market highlights and news for March 12, 2014. Bank of Japan holds rates and policy. Penney gets a new chance. Gold steady ahead of this week's data. Let's take a quick look at what is happening in the global markets. Wall Street ended the day sharply lower, retreating from last week's record as investors paused to assess recent U.S. economic data while struggling off uncertainties surrounding Ukraine. The Dow Jones slipped 67.43 points to 16,351.25. The S&P 500 index gave up 9.54 points to 1867.63, while the Nasdaq edged lower by 0.63% to 4307.19. The S&P 500 has gained 0.8% so far in March, after running up 4.3% in February, and is hovering around Friday's record closing high of 1878.04. Meanwhile, the Dow was 1.1% away from its December 31st record high of 16,576.66. Penney may finally be seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Shares of the struggling retailer jumped Tuesday after a Citigroup analyst upgraded the company's stock to a buy. The stock started the year as one of the worst performers in the S&P 500 last year. But Penney shares have jumped in recent weeks as investors have begun to get on board with its much-hyped turnaround strategy. European markets posted mixed results after a volatile trading day. Milan and Frankfurt were up, with the FTSE MIB gaining 0.39% and the DAX 0.46%, while the London was down 0.6%, and in Paris the CAC fell 0.48%. Asian stocks rose as markets bounced back from a punishing session on Monday, while Japanese stocks gave up most of their early gains after the Bank of Japan stood pat on monetary policy. Japan's Nikkei was up 0.1% after getting as much as 0.9% earlier in the day after the country's central bank made its policy announcement. It's been a terrible week for Hong Kong investors so far, with worries about China's slowdown lingering, and today is no exception, with the Hang Seng Index down 1.4%. In the foreign exchange market, the greenback rose against the Australian dollar and several emerging market currencies as investors continue to react to recent weak data out of China, which have amplified concerns that the second biggest economy is losing steam. In Japan, the dollar moved down to 102.95. The Bank of Japan held its policy steady and made few changes in its broad economic assessment. In its statement released on Tuesday, the Bank of Japan maintained its pledge to expand its monetary base by 60 to 70 trillion yen. UK industrial production rose 0.1% in January from December, slightly missing expectations. Bank of England Governor Mark Carney defended his policy of linking future interest rate hikes with the unemployment rate. The British pound declined to 1.6616. Moving to the commodities market, oil prices dropped with investors facing downbeat Chinese trade data that weighed on prospects for energy demand. Crude for April delivery fell 1.30 or 1.3% to 101.28 a barrel. Brent crude gave up 79 cents to 108.20 a barrel. Energy prices were hurt by the ongoing political conflict between Ukraine and Russia. Gold settled near $13.50 an ounce, soaring a second consecutive session gain as worries over Ukraine and concerns surrounding a slowdown in Chinese economic growth lifted the metal's safe haven appeal for investors. Gold traders also looked ahead to this week's schedule of U.S. economic data for clues on the outcome of the Federal Reserve's monetary policy on March 19th. Many of the economic releases due this week will print on Thursday, including weekly jobless claims, retail sales, and business inventories. Producer price index and consumer sentiment data will come out on Friday. This is Amy Anderson from Option Rally signing off. Follow me on Facebook, and of course, I'm waiting for your like below if you enjoyed today's Market Watch. Have a great day.